today begins our first segment of Next Level Wednesday, where WBKB's Stephanie Minichi will speak with different professionals to provide insight into their careers. The goal is to inspire people looking to reinvent themselves. Here's more.
Welcome to Next Level Wednesday. Our first guest today is Dr. Thomas Thornton from Mid-Michigan Alpena. You may recognize him as being the very first person to receive the Pfizer COVID vaccine a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Thornton, for those of us that don't know, can you tell us what being a general surgeon really means?
In Northeast Michigan, in a rural area like this, it involves dealing with kind of the broad spectrum of surgical problems. The usual things most people think of, appendix surgery, gallbladder surgery, hernias. Essentially, from a surgery standpoint, if it doesn't involve a bone or the heart or lungs or the brain, it usually is general surgery.
Okay, Dr. Thornton, you mentioned not having an aha moment, but what was the defining moment when you knew you wanted to be a general surgeon?
When I was in high school, I kind of thought about medicine a little bit. I grew up in a small town, and I really liked to work with my hands, and I learned how to weld and do some woodwork and things like that. So I was always kind of doing things with my hands. And that's what drew me to surgery, is I realized, how much of it, yes, there was the medicine side of it, and we had clinic and things like that, but getting into the operating room and actually, doing something with your hands that would affect a result was really rewarding to me. So that's what really got me. I don't dislike being in the clinic, but being in the operating room and really working with my hands is what I enjoyed.
You categorized your industry as being one that's in the service industry. What are some top qualities that you would suggest one to possess if they're wanting to get into this field?
Certainly, medicine in general, you have to be, have an academic drive. Unfortunately, there's a lot of school involved, so you have to be able to get through that part of it. More importantly, you have to have the right personality. Really, medicine is a service industry. We don't really think of it that way, but it is. And so you're dealing with patients. So you really need to be personable and really need to be able to connect with your patients. So I think that's a huge part. You also have to legitimately care about patients. There's some people that may be, a phenomenal doctor, they may have great knowledge, but if you ultimately don't care about your patients and you have that connection, it's hard to be an effective doctor and to be good at your job. So I think you really have to care about helping people and all people and really have that in the forefront.
How much schooling did you have?
I essentially had 13 years after I finished high school till I was able to start working on my job. So it's a long road. The caveat is if you love what you're doing in the end, it's worth it. So, for me, I could have chosen a career that I wasn't in school as long, but ultimately, if you're not going to be happy in that field, then it doesn't matter how long it took you to get there. So, so drive is definitely important. But I had classmates who were economy majors and engineers and anthropology majors and everything you can think of. And as long as you do the prerequisites for medical school, that the degree will work.
Thank you, Dr. Thornton, for presenting all of that useful information. It took Dr. Thornton about 13 years to complete his schooling and get to where he is. Tune in next week, where tips on getting to your next level may be presented.
And you can catch Next Level weekly for tips on your competitive advantage in your area of interest.